Nagayim. If his wife vowed and he thought he was his daughter, who was vowed, or his daughter vowed and he thought it was his wife who had vowed, or she vowed he would become a Nazarite and he thought that she had vowed concerning an offering, or if she vowed concerning an offering and he thought that she had vowed to become a Nazarite, or she made a neder prohibiting figs and he thought she made a neder prohibiting grapes, or she made a neder prohibiting grapes and he thought that she made a neder prohibiting figs, he must revoke the neder again. She said, Kohanim, these figs and grapes with respect to my tasting them, and he confirmed the neder with regard to figs, is become confirmed in its entirety. If he revoked the neder with regard to figs, it is not revoked until he revokes it with regard to grapes as well. If she said, Kohanim, figs with respect to my tasting them, and grapes with my respect to tasting them, they are two Nedarim. If a man said, I know that they're on Nedarim, but I did not know that they could be revoked, he said he can revoke the neder, but if he said, I know that the Nedarim could be revoked, but I did not know that this was a neder, Red Meir says he cannot revoke it. Sages, however, say he can revoke it. Okay.
Okay. Hamuda Haname Chasana. Okay, we have a situation where the father-in-law and the son-in-law are brogues with each other, and the father-in-law made a neder that his son-in-law shouldn't have any hana from him. But now he has charata, and he wants to help his daughter out. But the problem is that anything that he gives his daughter as a gift automatically becomes her husband's property. So, how does he do this? He wants to give us some money. This money I'm giving you is a gift al tanai. Okay, so because he's giving her tonight, on the condition that your husband doesn't have any rights in it. Right, all that you can do is use this money to buy food for yourself. Now, why does this restriction work? Because he's restricting her herself. He's saying this money is given to you on condition that you're buying food for yourself. Or it doesn't have to be food. Could be you want to buy clothing for yourself. Okay. Once he's giving her the money for a designated purpose, and it's not, and he says that it's given to you on condition that this money is going to be spent on that, then since she doesn't have full rishus in it, nor does her husband. Okay. V'neder almana grusha. Says the pasuk, the neder of a widow or a divorcee, yakum aleha. She has nobody who can revoke her vows. Okay, she has no father to revoke them. She has no husband to revoke them. Ketzad, what's the case? Amra, hareini nazira la'achash shloshim yom. A woman said, "I'm going to be a nazir after 30 days." This could be any woman who's not in her husband or her father's rishus. It could also be a bulgaria. It just could be like a regular 18-year-old girl, okay, her father has no rishus in her either. So she says, I'm going to be a nazir starting from 30 days from now." Okay. Even though in those 30 days before in the waiting period, she got married, the husband cannot revoke the vows that she took before she entered his rishos. Okay. Conversely, Nadra the rishos abal. If she makes a vow while she is married, he is allowed to be mefer. Kate Amra harini nazira le'acha shloshim. She says, I'm going to be a nazira in 30 days' time. Afal pishin almana onis garsha b'soch shloshim harezit mufar. So the husband heard this and he annuls the vow. And then with that's his last act and he dies. So now she's a widow. So does her husband's hafara take effect? Yes, it does. Absolutely takes effect because it was on the day that she made the vow, not on the day of the vow that takes effect. That's what we're looking at. Okay. Nadra bobayom nisgarsha bobayom. So she made a neder in the morning, and her husband divorced her right afterwards. Ve'echzera bobayom, and then he changed his mind and he remarried her. Eino yachol lahafer. Now he cannot revoke her, even if it's all on the same day. Why? Because she has been a divorcee in the interim, and there's a gap. So this is now a new marriage that he's marrying her, and she came into this new marriage with an existing vow, and he cannot revoke it, even though that happened on his watch as the previous husband. Okay. This Mishnah Yud is doesn't actually contain any chedushim in it. It's just a categorization of cases is for as a sort of a memory case, and for just to give you this course of learning these particular cases. So Tesha Naros Nidrahin Kayamin. There are nine categories of girl whose vows are automatically binding. Okay, Bulgaris. So the first one is a Bulgaris Vihi Yasoma. She's a Bulgaris and she's an orphan. Um, she doesn't actually even have to be an orphan because as soon as she's a Bulgaris, her father has no rishus in her. Nara, she was a Nara or Bagra Vihi Yasoma. She was a Nara and she grew up and she's an orphan. Nara Shelo Bagra, but he is Soma. It doesn't matter. And this is the Nara who has not become a Bulgaris, and she's an orphan. She has no father. Bulgaris Umeis Aviha. She was a Bulgaris and then her father died. Nara Bulgaris Umeis Aviha. She was a Nara who grew up and then her father died. Nara Shelo Bagra Umeis Aviha. Honestly, these cases, logically speaking, are many of them just sort of contain each other and seem pretty obvious. Um, Nara Shelo Bagra Umeis Aviha. If she's a Nara and she has not grown up but her father died, because the critical point over here is that her father's dead. As soon as her father dies, then she's a yesoma, and nobody can annul her vows. Nara Shem Mesaviha. Umishi Mesaviha Bagra. She was a Nara, and then her father died, and then she became a Bulgaris. Or Bulgaris for Avia Kayam. Even if she's a Bulgaris and her father is alive, he cannot annul her vows. Nara Bulgaris for Avia Kayam. And a Nara who grew up and then her father was alive. Okay. All of these cases, the operating fact is that either her bagrus, the fact that she's grown up, or the fact that she has no father, automatically means that there's nobody. You could really have distilled this down to two cases. One, she's a
Right.
Bulgaris. Two, her father's dead. All the other factors inside here, honestly, are noise. Um, the only two factors that come into account are the fact that she's a Bulgaris and that her father is dead. Okay. Um, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Af Hamasi Bito Hakatana. Says no, says Rabbi Yehuda, even if he gives his minor daughter in marriage, Venis Almano and Garsha, and then she was widowed or divorced, V'chazra etzlo, if she comes back to live in her father's home, um, Adain Hinara. Now she is still considered a Nara um, that her father has right to annul her vows. The Chachamim say no. Once she's left her father's rishus gone into another and gone and lived with another man, even if she's subsequently divorced or widowed, she is in her own rishus. She's considered a yasoma b'chayei aviha. She is like an orphan during her father's lifetime. Okay,
Okay.
let's do
Okay.
as many chazaras as we can before I got to go.
We're going to finish this soon. So where do we
Oh,
go?
next is Nazir.
Not there? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. This is Ted Vav, Ted Base. Herb Eliezer also said they can find grounds to annul another on the basis of an unexpected development. The sages, however, prohibit it. How he said Cohen might having benefit from so and so, and he became a scribe, or was shortly to marry off his son. And he said, if I had known that he would become a scribe, he was about to marry off his son, I would not have made the neder. Or if I said Cohen on this house with respect to my entering it, and it was made into a synagogue, and he said, if I had known that it was made into a synagogue, I would not have made the neder. Rabbi Eliezer permits it, and the sages forbid it. Meir says there are things which are like unexpected developments and not like unexpected developments. The sages, however, do not agree with him. How? If one says, Cohen, am I marrying so and so because the father is evil, and they told him he died and he had repented, Cohen on this house with respect to my intent to read because an evil dog is in it, or because a snake is in it, and they told him the dog died and the snake had been killed. These things which are unexpected developments, but are not like unexpected developments. The sages, however, do not agree with him. But Meir also said, if they can find ground to annul his neder from what is written in the Torah, and they say to him, if you had known that you transgress, you shall not take vengeance. You should not bear a grudge, or you should not hate your brother in your heart. You should love your father and fellow as yourself, and that your brother may live with you. Perhaps he will grow poor, and you will not be able to support him. But would you have vowed? If he said, I have known that this was so, I would not have made the netter. This is permitted. Okay. Okay. Subos. Subos. We have tet chet. If he impairs her ketubah, how? If her ketubah was 1,000 zuz, and he said to her, you have received your ketubah, and she says, I received only 100, she is not paid except with an oath. One witness testifies against her that it is paid. How? If a ketubah was 1,000 zuz, and he said to her, you received your ketubah, and she says, I have not received it, and one witness testifies against her that it is paid, she is not except with an oath. You're assigned from assigned property. How? If he sold his properties to others and seeks to be paid by the purchasers, he is not paid except with an oath. For the property of orphans, how? If he died and left his property to orphans and seeks to be paid by the orphans, she is not paid except with an oath. Or in his absence, how? If he went overseas and she seeks to be paid with his absence, she is not paid except with an oath. Rabbi Shimon says, whenever she claims her ketubah, the heirs can impose an oath upon her, and if she does not claim her ketubah, the heirs can not impose an oath upon her. If she produced a bill of divorce but not a ketubah, she can collect a ketubah. If she produced a ketubah but not a bill of divorce, she says, my bill of divorce was lost. And he says, my quittance was lost. And similarly, a creditor who produced a note of indebtedness but not a prose bill, they are not paid. Reb Shimon Gamliel says, since the time of danger, a woman can collect a ketubah without a bill of divorce, and a creditor can collect without a prose bill. If he produced two bills of divorce and two ketubos, she collects two subos, and one bill of divorce, or a ketubah and two bills of divorce, or a ketubah, a bill of divorce, and a proof of death. She collects no more than one ketubah. For one who divorces his wife and remarries her on the condition of the first ketubah, he remarries her. A minor whose father has married him off a ketubah remains valid, for he kept her on that condition. If a man converted together with his wife, but a marriage contract remains valid, for he kept her on that condition. If one married to two wives and he died, the first one takes precedence over the second one. The first one takes heirs. One heirs takes precedence over the second one's heirs. If he married the first one and she died, and he married the second one and he died, the second one and her heirs take precedence over the first one's heirs.
Okay.
Thomas. Okay, we have Gimel Dalet. On the first day of Adar, which falls on the Sabbath, we read the portion of Skalim. If it falls on a weekday, we advance the reading of Skalim to the Sabbath before, and interrupt the reading of the four parshas on the next Sabbath. On the second Sabbath, we read the portion of Zachor. Remember that what Amalek did. On the third Sabbath, we read the portion of Paraduma, the red cow. On the fourth Sabbath, we read the portion of Hakadosh Hazeh, the Chem. This shall be to you. On the fifth Sabbath, we resume reading the regular order. For the following occasions, we interrupt the regular order on Rosh Chodesh, on Hanukkah, on Purim, on public fast, on Mamamot, or Yom Kippur. On Pesach, we read the portion of the festivals of Leviticus. On Shavuos, we read the seventh portion of 7 weeks. On Rosh Hashanah, we read the portion of the seventh month on the first day. Yom Kippur, we read the portion of after the death. On the first day of the festival, we read the portion of the festivals of Leviticus, and all the remaining days of the festival, we read the portions of the sacrifices of the festival. On the eighth day of Hanukkah, we read the portion of the princes. We read the portion of Anamalakaim. On Rosh Chodesh, we read the portion of On Your New Moons. On Mamos, we read the portion of the creation. And on public fast, we read the portion of the blessing and curses. We may not interrupt the reading of the curses. Therefore, one person reads them in their entirety. On Mondays, Thursday, and at Mincha on the Sabbath, we read the regular order of the portion, as it is said, but this reading is not taken into account. As it is said, when Moses declared the appointed seasons of Hashem to the children of Israel, the precept is that each portion should be read at the appropriate time.
Okay.
Okay. So here,
One more.
Go on to Challah.
Mm-hmm.
Challah, Gimel Aleph. One may eat a chance meal from the dough until it's rolled with.
Hold on. We're in Gimel Vav.
Gimel Vav. Oh, sorry.
Accessibility shortcuts.
Okay.
Use the tab key to navigate and press space to toggle an option.
Get out of here. Oh, off the computer.
Your
Go.
computer switched on your accessibility options, I think.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. Okay.
They're very clever that way.
Gimel Vav. Okay, so that's 3-5. Okay. If a non-Jew provided a Jew to make for him dough, it is exempt from challah. If he presented it to him as a gift before rolling it out, he is liable. If they're rolling it out, he is exempt. If one makes dough with a non-Jew, with the portion of the Jew is not equal to measure liable to challah, it is exempt from challah. If one became a proselyte and had dough, if he had made it before he converted, he is exempt. If he converted, he is liable. If in doubt, he is liable. And if one is not liable to be added to fifth, Rabbi Kiva says all proceeds according to when the crust is formed in the oven. If one makes dough from wheat, rice, and he has tasted the taste of cereal, it is liable to challah. And one fulfills one's obligation with on Passover, but it's not the taste of cereal, is not liable to challah, and one does not fulfill his obligation on Pesach. Okay.
One more. Notel. Yeah.
Off there, would you please get off here? Come on, be a good guy.
Okay. I got to run. Actually, I've got to go and catch my ride. So,
All right.
do the rest yourself.
I'll see
Okay.
you tomorrow. Thank you. Okay, bye.